Good morning, all. The Kathy Gray Avatar is back with your Sunday morning announcements. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, please subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us on Zoom, drop us a hi in the chat. We'd love to say hello back. If you're with us in person, hello everybody here. And if this is your first visit, please sign the guest book either in the lobby or online at oakcliffuu.org/guest. Today, Renée Brill returns to the pulpit with Qualified. Who knows best? Which qualifications count and which don't? Whether you're here in person or on Zoom, we hope you can stick around after the service for Talkback to discuss the sermon and related topics. At the same time as Talkback, we also have Adult Religious Exploration with Sarah Rickey in the Charity Building, in person and online. Building Your Own Theology continues with Justice and the Beloved Community. What is our place in the world? At 1 o'clock today, our board meets in the Hope Common Room and online. The meeting is open to all, and it should wrap up just in time for our second Sunday Jazz Jam. We have jazz musicians and maybe, hopefully, singers in the house from 2 to 4 p.m. Feel free to bring food and drink for yourself or to share and enjoy a few hours of live music. There is no charge for admission. Coming up this week, Widening the Circle of Concern, our anti-racist and anti-oppression group meets online every Monday at 3 p.m. If you'd like to help us on our path to becoming an anti-racist church, please consider joining us. You'll find contact information in our weekly e-blast and on the back of your order of service. The WCOC team is still looking for a congregational liaison to the DEI initiative team. The deadline for volunteering has been extended to June 19th. Come on, folks, somebody must want to be the voice of the congregation. Speak to Sherry or Kathy if it's easier than using email. And thank you in advance. Speaking of anti-racist work, please note that this Tuesday, June 13th at 6:30 p.m., the Texas UU Justice Ministry is presenting a webinar on the 8th Principle featuring Paula Cole Jones, co-author of the 8th Principle and member of the Article 2 Study Commission. In my opinion, this is something not to be missed. Teamwork Tuesday continues, beautifying our campus inside and out from 4 to 6 p.m., and there's always food, thanks to Mavis. We think we have some tomato cages on the way, and now we need straw to help protect plant roots from the summer sun. If you can help, please talk to Eric. Our Social Justice Ministry Reading Group continues to meet Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom, except for the third Thursday. The current book selection is the Anti-Racism Handbook. See Mavis if you have questions. All of this information and more is in your weekly e-blast. If you're not receiving the e-blast, and you should be, just sign up at oakcliffuu.org/enews. Speaking of the e-blast, you'll also find another plea for help with Sunday morning coffee. If you wish to volunteer, please contact Rita at admin@oakcliffuu.org. Two more things. Another member had a birthday last week. Happy birthday to Yolanda Graham. And we have a member anniversary to celebrate. Alex Kennedy joined us 3 years ago today. That's it for now. Hope you have a great Sunday and rest of the week. Welcome. Welcome to the UU Church of Oak Cliff. Here, we gather in sanctuary where we're free to pursue our own unique and individual spiritual journeys in an atmosphere of acceptance, compassion, and celebration. We seek to build a community where what you believe is less important than how your beliefs guide and inform your participation in the world. Ours is a community that values the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. We welcome you. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness.
And now in Spanish. Que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
Our opening words, Call to Worship and Action, by Sharon Wiley. It is said that ministers are here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. I say we are all afflicted and we are all comfortable. May our time together this morning be a comfort and a confrontation. May we here find peace in times of tumult. May we here invite tumult into lives of peace. May we here find calm in times of restlessness. May we here allow restlessness to evolve into action. Let this be the place you consider what you've never considered. Let this be the place you imagine for yourself something new and unthinkable. May this hour bring dreams of new ways of being in the world. Come, let us worship together.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another, our joys and sorrows. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experience matters. We share our sorrow with one another today, knowing that sorrow comes into each person's life, knowing that together we offer comfort. Folks online, please share your sorrows publicly by posting them in the Zoom chat, or send them to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love when I breathe in. I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
We also share our joys with one another, knowing that joy comes into all our lives, knowing that joy calls unto joy, knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. Please share your joys publicly by posting them to the Zoom chat, or send them to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud. Ours is a covenantal church, Latin for come together. Covenant means a solemn agreement or promise from the heart regarding a course of action between parties. The practice of promising to walk together is the core of our faith. Simply put, it's a guide for the behavior we expect from ourselves and each other. We're bound together by the promises we make to one another, and we recite our covenant during every worship service. Please rise in body or spirit as we recite.
Because we love one another, we honor each individual's spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance in service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together. And now in Spanish. Porque nos amamos uno al otro. Honoramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y acepción. Así que hacemos pacto.
Good morning. I would like to invite you to take a couple moments with me to find your center and ground yourself. And let's start with a couple of deep breaths. So let's breathe in. And out. And breathe in. And out. And breathe in. And out. And while you keep breathing, Find a comfy place in your chair. You might try sitting up straight, putting your feet flat on the ground. Stretching your neck up. And when you're comfortable, come back to your breath. And when you're ready, bring your attention back into this space. Good morning. This week, we're continuing to work with the article from Tema Okun, White Supremacy Culture Still Here. And this week, we're talking about qualifications, which is interesting and challenging. Because on one hand, qualifications can be really useful and important, right? I don't know enough about heart surgery to test a prospective heart surgeon on whether or not they know enough to perform surgery on me, right? I'm relying on a certification process. I'm relying on that person's education and some other board to give that person qualifications. So I am relying on some formal qualifications to make sure that that person isn't going to cause more harm than good. And there's varying degrees of that kind of qualification, right? There's medical qualifications, but in particularly the mental health field, there's a pretty wide variety of different qualifications that someone can claim or be certified through in order to do counseling, for example, or something that we would recognize as counseling. There's everything on the kind of lower bar of qualifications. There's a life coach, which in many states won't have any qualifying requirements. There's counselors, there's therapists, there's psychiatrists and psychologists. There's people who might be certified specifically in a type of therapy like EMDR. And some of those qualifications we might actually even recognize as harmful. So maybe a biblical-based counselor might belong to a group that offers qualifications based on your willingness to promote anti-LGBTQ beliefs or anti-feminist beliefs under the false belief that those ideas are present in the Bible. Those kinds of qualifications are important and useful, right? Because we know we can't all know everything. But the other side of qualifications is that they can be harmful. Sometimes the barriers that they're placing into entry in a field are artificial or unnecessary. So do you really need a college degree in order to be a shift manager or a team lead at a grocery store or at a fast food restaurant? Maybe the person most qualified for that would be someone who had been doing that job or working at that restaurant for a while and wouldn't need a college degree for that. In our own denomination, we require either a congregation to ordain you or and it's actually more of an and. We also require a master's degree and for you to go through the ministerial fellowshipping process. So not only do you have a master's degree, but you've also done 1 year of an internship, and you've been interviewed by some of our most seasoned ministers to determine if you're a minister. And then they'll make a recommendation and get access to all of this stuff like our job posting boards and things like that. But one of the critiques we have received, and one that I think is really important, is that our requirement that someone have a master's degree might actually be prohibitive and a barrier to entry into the field that is unduly burdensome to a significant portion of our population, right? A master's degree in divinity is by its nature going to be a private school degree because it's a religious degree and not a study of religion in the sort of theological studies way, but in a how to perform religion and not a how to study about religion. That's the kind of degree we require. So it's going to be a private school degree, and those are expensive on top of the opportunity costs of not being able to work during certain parts of that time, or being required to pick up your whole household and family and move across country to attend an internship for a year. Those are all kind of hard for working class people to do, and certainly hard for people of my generation to do. The type of qualifications that Tema Okun is specifically referring to is this kind of internalized assumption that particularly college-educated white people have that they are qualified to lead in any situation, or qualified to find the right answer, or make the solution in any given situation. That might even be something we've explicitly been told, that we're the leaders of tomorrow, and that's why we are getting a general studies education or a humanities education, is the idea that that could prepare us for everything and anything. So Tema Okun writes, this particular characteristic is internalized primarily by middle and owning class white people who are formally educated and who are taught by the culture that they are qualified and even duty bound to fix, save, and set straight the world. It's closely aligned with the dominant mainstream Christian ideology that teaches that it's a Christian duty to convert the heathen, the savage, and the impure. This characteristic is particularly violent, both physically and psychologically, in its determination to ignore and or erase the culture, wisdom, genius, and joy of people and communities that are being saved, while seizing their land, architecture, music, food and other material goods to commodify them for profit. One example that we can see today in that process that's still ongoing is the gentrification process that happens. It's currently happening across all inner cities or all downtowns across the United States. This idea that we're inviting investors to improve the neighborhood, and that investment is good for the neighborhood, that development is good for the neighborhood, when really what is meant is that it's good for the property values of the neighborhood, but that the people who are currently living there, there's not really many plans made for where they're going to live if the rents go up. Tema Okun specifically is pointing out this problem where she says middle class, and particularly the white and middle class educated people, can internalize and assume their own inherent qualifications to improve whatever is in front of them that is broken without acknowledging or seeing their own role in breaking it. So if we're not able to see what harm we're causing, we're likely to continue to cause harm. Tema Okun also points out that we're more likely to assume that other white people are qualified, and that people of color are not qualified. We are more likely to recognize qualifications that come from a prestigious, and by prestigious, that normally means expensive, exclusionary school, than we are to recognize a qualification that comes from a full community, or from an informal source, such as a congregation or life experience. She writes, BIPOC faculty, students, and students have to navigate overt and subtle accusations of being admitted simply to satisfy an affirmative action requirement. They have to navigate both overt and subtle accusations of playing the race card or making everything about race when they decide to speak out about that. And at the same time, white faculty and students can and do assume their qualifications, often giving the benefit of the doubt to others who are white, even and especially if they have little or no commitment to or experience living into a racial equity practice. Tema Okun points out that because we are making this assumption that we're qualified, while often not recognizing our own privilege and not having any type of experience in racial justice practices, that we're going to, out of ignorance, reproduce the racism that we're often trying to correct. So what's the antidote? I think that one of the most important antidotes that Tema Okun lists is learning to lean into racial equity principles of collective action and collective accountability. So a lot of the kind of accountabilities that we recognize are an individual accountability or an institutional accountability, right? So that would be a college board approving a diploma, but that we're not able to recognize where a community holds someone accountable, or where a larger group determines what is qualified and what is not qualified. So she's pointing to the usefulness of collective accountability and collective action. Lastly, she's also pointing out that she doesn't want us to abandon claiming our own wisdom. She says I also have the experience of giving away my own knowing too easily, particularly when challenged by people who are skilled at insisting their way of knowing and their content knowledge is superior to mine. I see a lot of myself in both sides of this problem of qualifications. I know that I often think that I am right. I often think that I am right, and I often think that I can solve whatever problem is in front of me. I absolutely recognize myself in that. And am starting to pay more attention to process and where the ideas are coming from and where I am requiring myself to question my own knowing. And the other thing that I really recognize myself is this idea of not claiming my own wisdom. There's a moment when my husband and I were out camping, and my husband was telling me how to build a fire, and I was trying to follow his instructions and not doing well until I remembered that, I grew up in Alaska. I know how to start a fire. I know how to build my own fire. I don't need to rely on his insistence that his way is the right way. I have my own way. So I'd like you to think this week and spend some time thinking about maybe where you are giving up your knowing, and also where you're assuming that you should have the answer instead of listening to the answer that is often provided by the people who are most affected by a given problem. Have a beautiful week. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
One more step, we will take one more step till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word, one more prayer. We will say one more prayer till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer, one more song. We will sing one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Join me in reciting the Widening the Circle of Concern covenant. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Thank you. So the Widening Moment reading this week was put together by a UU Reverend named Tracy Robinson Harris, but the most of it is actually authored by is quotations from African-American feminist author, teacher Bell Hooks. So, a little bit of an intro by Reverend Harris, and then a set of quotes by Bell Hooks. What the clamorings for? In conversations about the Initiative for Greater Diversity, our Unitarian Universalist Association-wide commitment to becoming more inclusive, one of the questions that inevitably arose was, what do we want diversity for? What is our motivation? Perhaps it is guilt. Guilt over the injustices of racism, heterosexism, classism. A commitment to diversity would make me feel better, that is, less guilty. Perhaps it is a sense of responsibility to deal with my prejudices and somehow participate in bringing greater justice. A commitment to diversity would hold us responsible, make us do the right thing. Perhaps it is that nagging call to seek wholeness. Given the partiality of all points of view, given the diversity of truth, given our calling to live our lives religiously, given these, commitment to diversity is nothing more or less than honoring the call to seek wholeness in my life and in our collective life. African-American feminist author, teacher Bell Hooks asks the question this way: what is all this clamoring after difference? All the clamoring is about seeking wholeness. Guilt leads to angry denial and inaction. Responsibility leads to grudging good works. The call to seek wholeness has room for acknowledging feelings of guilt and anger, frustration, room for accepting appropriate responsibility, and plenty of room for moving toward personal and communal transformation. All the clamoring is for each person, each perspective, each truth to be granted sufficient respect so that we truly listen to those ideas and allow ourselves to be truly challenged by them. All the clamoring is for us to recognize that our lives are intertwined, so intertwined that each is accountable to the other. Each particular story, truth, calls us to accountability, calls me to accountability for my life, my limits, my individual, and our collective transformation. All the clamoring is for truth. I need you. I need you, who you are, the experiences and perspective you bring, so that I may know truth beyond my partial truth. All the clamoring is for justice. We need each other and what we can all do together for justice. Thank you.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place that is so sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Members, if you're contributing cash toward your pledge, please use the envelope provided and write your name on it. We know a lot of you donate online, automatically. To text your donation, see the number on your order of service. And for more options, see our website, oakcliffuu.org/donate.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy, así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
Closing words today. Our closing words for hard times by Maureen Killeran. No matter how weak or frightened we may feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In this coming week, may you do at least one thing to support the broken, to welcome the stranger, to celebrate what is worthy, to do the work of justice and love. Be strong, be connected. Each day, act so you may be a little more whole.
Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all true, its ritual works of love. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all true, its ritual works of love.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.